Do you ever feel like your body's stuck in overdrive? Your heart's racing, your shoulders are tight, and your brain just won't shut off, even when you're supposed to be relaxing? Maybe you're lying awake at 2 a.m., exhausted but wired, or finding yourself snapping at people you love over the smallest of things. Yep, that's your nervous system crying out for a reset. So here's what's really happening. We live in a society that glorifies productivity and achievement, often at the expense of our own well-being. We're caught in this endless whirlwind of responsibility, deadlines, and to-do lists that never seem to get shorter. But here's the truth that nobody talks about. Constantly pushing ourselves without rest leads to burnout, and that affects not only your mind, but your body and your spirit. When stress becomes chronic, it just doesn't make us feel overwhelmed. It literally rewires your nervous system to stay in a state of constant alertness. So think about it. Your nervous system is like the conductor of an orchestra, coordinating everything from your heartbeat to your digestion. When it's under constant stress, it releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, keeping you in a fight or flight state. Your muscles stay tense, your immune system weakens, and your sleep suffers. Eventually, this leads to things like anxiety, depression, and even chronic pain. So it's time to hit pause, reflect, and to reclaim your sense of balance and harmony. But before we dive into solutions, if you're ready to stop feeling out of control around food, you are going to love my 5-day Food Swap Foodie challenge. Inside, I'm going to show you how to stop overeating, manage cravings, and make easy food swaps so you can lose weight and eat healthier without saying goodbye to your favorite foods. When you join, you receive instant access to all 5 videos. So click the link in the description to join. Now, to help you to reset your nervous system, you first need to understand how it actually works and why it gets stuck in stress mode. So your nervous system is like the master conductor of your body's orchestra. It's this incredible network of nerves, neurons, and pathways that carries messages from your brain to every corner of your being. So it has 2 main parts: your central nervous system, that's your brains and spinal cords acting as, let's say, mission control, and your peripheral nervous system, which extends throughout your entire body, connecting everything to that central hub. So here's where it gets interesting. Your nervous system has 2 operating modes. So there's your sympathetic nervous system, so that's your fight or flight response, and then there's your parasympathetic nervous system. That is your rest and digest mode. So when you encounter stress, your sympathetic nervous system, it jumps into action. It releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, your heart starts to beat faster, your breathing quickens, and your senses sharpen. So this response is absolutely crucial if you're like facing real danger, like running away from a saber-toothed tiger. But here's the problem. In our modern world, stress doesn't just come from, life-threatening situations. It comes from things like work deadlines, relationship conflicts, financial stress, and endless notifications on our phones. So your nervous system can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and, let's say, maybe a nasty email that you get from your boss. It just responds the same way. And when the stress becomes chronic, your nervous system gets stuck in that heightened state of alertness. Your body, which was designed for occasional bursts of stress, it starts struggling to cope with this constant pressure. And the delicate balance that governs all of your bodily functions, it gets disrupted. This leaves you feeling vulnerable to physical and mental health issues. This is why chronic stress leads to inflammation, weakens your immune system, disrupts your sleep, and creates a breeding ground for anxiety and depression and chronic pain. So your emotions start swinging between restlessness and apathy because that delicate harmony of your inner world is completely off balance. But here's the good news. Once you understand this intricate dance between stress and your nervous system, you can start to take back control. And look, I'm actually taking my own advice here because a few years ago I hit burnout. So I know what it's like when you're trying to pour from an empty cup. When I do try to pour from an empty cup, I just become anxious and irritable, and I just can't produce my best work. And neither can you, right? So I've also gotten really good at recognizing the signs early on that I actually need to start slowing down. So how do you know if your nervous system is crying out for help? So here are some warning signs to look out for. So physical symptoms. This could be your muscles are constantly tense, especially your shoulders and your neck. You're getting frequent headaches that just don't seem to go away. Your heart, it feels like it's racing even when you're just sitting at your desk. Maybe you're getting sick more often because your immune system is weakened. And maybe you feel exhausted, but you also still feel wired at the same time. So mental and emotional symptoms could be things like your mind is constantly spinning with worries and all of the what ifs. You're lying awake at night even though you're tired because your brain just doesn't know how to switch off. Maybe you're snapping at people over like the smallest of simplest of things that normally wouldn't even bother you. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed by simple tasks that used to be easy for you. And you might also notice that the things you used to enjoy, they just don't bring you the same amount of joy anymore. So maybe some concentration flags could be things like you're finding it hard to focus even on basic tasks. Maybe you're reading the same paragraph 3 times and you're still not absorbing it. That's your nervous system waving a big red flag. So if any of these sound familiar, don't panic, because this is your body's way of asking for help. So listen to it, because the good news is you could absolutely turn this around. So let me share 7 powerful strategies that can help to reset your nervous system and bring you back to balance. Number 1, spend some time in nature. So this is perfect right now because it's fall season at the time of this recording. And there's actually science backing this up, because a recent study showed that just 1 hour walking in nature decreases activity in your amygdala. That's your brain's stress center. And here's something even more fascinating. Another study found that within just 6 minutes of listening to bird songs, so birds chirping, anxiety and paranoia were significantly reduced. Get outside, breathe in that crisp fall air, and let nature do its work. Next, try non-sleep deep rest. So this is a game changer. NSDR was coined by Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman, and this puts your mind into a calm, focused state, similar to that dreamy feeling that you get right before you fall asleep. And it's about giving your brain that intense rest for a short period of time. So this practice, it shifts your nervous system from that stress, fight or flight state to the calm, rest and digest mode, lowering your cortisol and improving your mood, your focus and memory. Next, try essential oils. Smell is one of our most primal and underutilized senses. And studies show that essential oils like lavender, my favorite, lemon and bergamot can actually relieve stress and anxiety and depression by stimulating your brain to relieve feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. So it's just as simple as opening it up and taking a deep breath. Maybe even pop a few drops in an essential oil diffuser. That's what I like to do. Next, practice emotional freedom technique. So EFT is also known as tapping, and this works by stimulating acupressure points while focusing on a distressing thought or an emotion. So this sends calming signals to your brain and reduces your psychological stress response. So it might look a little bit weird, but it works. So I'll place a link in the description and you can check that out. Next, explore yoga nidra meditation. So this isn't like regular yoga because it doesn't involve any stretches or poses. So yoga nidra focuses on deep relaxation and reaching a state of deep consciousness. So it works by tapping into your autonomic nervous system, and that's the part that controls your heartbeat, your blood pressure, and your digestion. So I'm gonna drop a link to a guided session in the description so you can check that out. Next, get that magnesium. So I want you to think of magnesium as like the bouncer at your brain's nightclub. It decides which signals get to come in and party and which ones just need to chill out. So when you're stressed, your brain gets flooded with that go, go, go signal, but magnesium steps in and says, hold up, and it blocks some of those frantic signals while letting more of the relax and breathe signals through. So you can get it from things like dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and my personal favorite, dark chocolate. All right, so it's a perfect excuse for a square or 2. And speaking of food, next you want to support your nervous system with strategic nutrition, right? So manage your blood sugar by eating every 3 to 5 hours. Focus on key nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and amino acids. And the great news is that many of the recipes on my channel already focus on these nervous system supporting foods. And speaking of food and stress, if you're ready to stop feeling out of control around food, you are going to love my 5-day Food Swap Foodie challenge. Inside, I'm going to show you how to stop overeating, manage cravings, and make easy food swaps so you can lose weight and eat healthier without saying goodbye to your favorite foods. Now, when you join, you receive instant access to all 5 videos so you can start crushing those cravings right away. There's a link in the description so you can join. So your nervous system isn't broken. It just needs some moments of reset. So start small, pick 1 or 2 of these practices this week. Let me know in the comments how it goes and notice how much more calmer and clearer you feel. And if you want to stop turning to food and manage stress, check out my next video where I'm going to show you how to break that cycle. You're also going to discover the best foods for managing stress.